Stoic truth. Let me tell you something most men miss. A woman doesn't always come out and say, "I'm attached." She won't always spell it out. She might not even realize it herself. But if you're paying attention, really paying attention, you'll feel it. Because emotional attachment doesn't always show up in obvious ways. It doesn't walk in with fireworks or loud declarations. It tiptoes in, quietly, through her actions, through her energy, through the way she starts to see you, not as someone passing through her life, but as someone who's starting to matter. It's not in how often she texts. It's in how she listens when you speak. It's in how she notices when your mood shifts, even when you haven't said a word. It's in those small things that don't seem like much, until you realize how consistent they've become. You see, emotional attachment isn't a performance. It's not about her doing something to impress you. It's about how she starts to connect with you on a level that doesn't need to be explained. It's when she remembers things you forgot you said. It's when she starts to mirror your emotions, not because she's trying to, but because your energy affects hers. It's when she starts to care about things that only matter to you. That's not just affection, that's attachment. That's her letting you into her inner world. And the truth is, most guys miss it. They're too busy looking for dramatic signs, too distracted chasing someone who's not really present, or too afraid to believe that something real might actually be happening. But the man who's grounded, the one who can sit in silence and watch, the one who doesn't need to control but simply understands, he'll see it, he'll feel it. Because when a woman is emotionally attached, her heart doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers, they're the loudest thing in the room, if you know how to listen. So pay attention, not to what she says, but to what she shows. Not to the noise, but to the space between. Because that space, that's where real connection lives. And if you see it, if you feel it, don't take it lightly. That kind of attachment doesn't come often. And when it does, it's not just for the moment. It's the kind that lingers, even when she's quiet, even when she's gone. And if you've ever felt it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 1. She remembers the little things you forgot. You might have said it without thinking. Just a small detail in the middle of a conversation. Your favorite snack, a childhood memory, a random scar you don't even talk about. You moved on. But she didn't. Because when a woman is emotionally attached, she pays attention in a way most people don't. She's not just hearing you, she's taking you in, piece by piece, quietly, carefully. She remembers what you like without asking twice. She brings up things you said weeks ago that even you forgot. Not because she's trying to impress you, not because she's keeping score, but because those small things, they're how she holds you close, even when you're not around. It's her way of saying, "You matter to me," without using those exact words. She doesn't need reminders or notes. She doesn't need to ask twice, because your words stuck, your stories stayed, and now they live inside her memory, like she's building a quiet archive of who you are. That's not just listening, that's care, that's connection, that's emotional attachment. So the next time she remembers something small, don't brush it off. See it for what it is, a sign that you've become more than just another conversation. You've become someone who left a mark. 2. Her mood shifts when your energy does. She may not say a word, but trust me, she feels it. When your energy shifts, hers follows. If you're quiet, she senses it. If you're distant, she starts to wonder. Not because she's insecure, not because she needs constant reassurance, but because she's emotionally tied to you now. And whether she wants to or not, she feels you. When you're at peace, it calms her. When you're focused, she respects the silence. But when something's off, even slightly, she picks up on it like it's her own mood. Not by choice, but because your energy lives close to hers now. She mirrors what you carry, not to copy you, but because your emotional state matters to her more than she'll admit. That's not clinginess, that's connection. It's a bond you didn't have to force. It just happened. And now her nervous system quietly responds to yours. So when she asks, "Are you okay?" after just a short silence, it's not because she's overreacting. It's because she can feel that something shifted, even before you say a word. That kind of sensitivity doesn't come from casual interest. It comes from emotional closeness, from a heart that's synced itself to yours. And when that happens, your silence is no longer just silence. It becomes something she feels in her chest, because she's not watching you anymore. She's connected to you. 3. She wants to know your mind, not just your moves. She's not just asking where you are or what you're doing. She's not looking for status updates or surface-level answers. What she's really reaching for is something much deeper: your mind. When a woman is emotionally attached, she starts craving more than just the physical closeness or casual connection. She wants to understand you, not just the version of you that the world sees, but the version you keep hidden. She wants to know what your silence means. She wants to understand the rhythm of your thoughts, the shadows behind your smile, the weight behind your quiet days. You'll notice the shift. She won't just ask, "How was your day?" She'll ask, "What's been on your heart lately?" She won't just nod when you talk. She'll pause, reflect, and sometimes even revisit something you said days ago. Not because she's analyzing you, but because she's holding you, mentally, emotionally, piece by piece. She'll start to recognize the difference between when you're distracted and when you're simply thinking. She'll notice the moments you get lost in your head and quietly wonder what's happening in there. She won't push you to talk, but when you do open up, she'll treat those moments like treasure, because to her, your thoughts are sacred. This kind of attention isn't about control. It's not her trying to invade your space or track your emotions. It's her way of drawing closer to your world, not your schedule, not your habits, but your inner world. Because that's where the real version of you lives. And when she's attached, that's the version she longs to know. You'll start to see it in her questions. They won't just skim the surface. They'll cut gently into the deeper layers. What keeps you up at night? What does peace look like to you? What scares you that you haven't told anyone? And if you give her answers, even small ones, she'll hold them with care. She won't use them against you. She won't interrupt. She'll just be there, absorbing your truth with quiet reverence. And it's not because she's trying to fix you. She's not looking for a project. She's looking for presence, your real presence, and your mind, your thoughts, your truth. That's where it lives. When she's attached, she doesn't want to be impressed. She wants to be included in your doubts, in your dreams, in your internal weather, even when the sky feels heavy. And the more you let her in, the more she feels at home with you. Not because she figured you out, but because you let her walk beside your thoughts. That's the part most men don't see. They think love is about what you do for her. But for her, it's about being let into the world no one else gets to visit. So if she starts asking you deep questions, if she remembers what you said in the middle of a tired conversation, if she listens more than she talks, that's not just kindness. That's her heart showing up quietly and intentionally. She's not curious for the sake of it. She's curious because you've become part of her world now. And when your mind becomes a place she wants to be, that's not casual interest. That's not a phase. That's emotional attachment at its most honest form. Because you didn't just give her your attention, you gave her a glimpse of your soul, and she's holding it, not with force, but with care. 4. She shares when she doesn't have to. She could have kept it all to herself. And most of the time she does. Because the truth is, not everyone gets to see the real her. the raw her, the version of her that doesn't smile for the world or keep her voice steady just to look strong. She's learned to protect herself, not because she's cold, but because she's been disappointed, she's been misunderstood. She's been in rooms where she poured her heart out, only to be met with silence, judgment, or worse, indifference. So when she starts opening up to you, not just in light conversation, but in the kind of way that feels sacred, that's not random, that's not small, that's her letting you into a space that's usually locked behind thick walls. She begins to tell you about things she's never shared out loud. The fight she had with herself to move on from something no one knew hurt her. The memory that still haunts her, but that she's learning to carry with grace. The dreams she's afraid to admit. The ones that feel too big, too fragile, too close to the heart. And the most powerful part? She tells you without being asked, without being pried. It just spills out, slowly, softly, because something about your presence tells her you're safe now. She's not doing it for validation. She's not testing you to see how you'll react. She's not trying to make you feel sorry for her. She's simply sharing, because her heart feels seen and it doesn't need a mask around you anymore. That moment when she leans in and says, "I've never told anyone this before." That is emotional attachment in its truest form, because what she's really saying is, "I trust you with the parts of me I don't even fully understand yet." And that trust, that raw, real, vulnerable trust, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen just because you were kind or because you listened once. It happens because you've shown her consistency, because you've been patient, because you didn't demand her story. You earned it by simply being who you are, steady, present, safe. She trusts you with her doubts, her regrets, her fears, not because she wants you to fix them, but because she no longer wants to carry them alone. That's not just affection. That's not a moment of weakness. That's strength. That's her choosing you to witness the part she's never shown. And when a woman does that, when she opens up to you like that, you're not just someone she likes. You're not just a name in her phone. You become home. You become the place she lets her armor fall. The place she exhales without explaining why she was holding her breath. The place she no longer needs to perform or pretend. So if she starts telling you her story, not just the good parts, but the messy, broken, beautiful ones, don't take it lightly. Don't treat it like casual talk, because she's not handing you words, she's handing you pieces. And if you're wise enough to hold them with care, if you meet her truth with stillness, not shock, with acceptance, not analysis, then you've earned something most men never do. Not just her time, but her trust, her depth, her heart. And once she feels safe enough to give you all that, you're no longer just a chapter in her life. You've become a place her soul can rest, heal, and maybe, for the first time in a long time, breathe. 5. Your silence makes her restless. When a woman becomes emotionally attached to you, your silence no longer feels like space. It feels like absence. And not just any absence, but a meaningful one. One that stirs something inside her, even if you didn't say a word. You might think you're just taking a moment to breathe. You might be caught up in your own thoughts, overwhelmed, tired, or simply in need of time alone. And that's okay. You're human. But to her, that quiet moment can feel like a shift in the emotional current between you. Because your presence carries weight now. She's grown used to your rhythm, to the way you check in, to the random little messages that once felt small but now feel like anchors in her day, to your laugh that cuts through the noise, to your voice that steadies her even when her own thoughts are spinning. You became part of her emotional landscape, not because you tried to, but because she let you in. And when you let someone in, they begin to shape your world. They become part of your calm, your routine, your sense of normal. So when that presence suddenly pauses, even if it's only for a few hours, even if there's no tension, she feels it deeply. She doesn't jump to conclusions. She doesn't assume the worst. But she notices. She notices the lack of your name lighting up her phone. She hears the silence that now sits in place of your usual energy. And while she may not say anything, she feels everything. She starts rewinding, not obsessively, but instinctively, looking for signs, for clues, for anything that might explain the shift. Was there something she missed? Did your mood change and she didn't catch it? Is something bothering you that you didn't want to say? She doesn't ask these questions to pressure you. She asks them silently to herself because you've come to matter to her. And when someone matters, their silence has weight, it has shape, it echoes. It's not about control. She's not looking to manage you or demand updates every hour. She just wants to feel secure in the emotional bond you've built. Because to her, the connection isn't just in the laughs, the late-night conversations, or the sweet moments. It's in the consistency. It's in the knowing that even when things are quiet, you're still there, still present, still steady. And when that consistency wavers, when that presence slips into stillness, she doesn't fall apart. But she does feel it, like a low frequency humming in the background of her day. She won't blow up your phone. She won't make dramatic accusations, but her heart will start asking gentle questions. Is he okay? Did I do something wrong? Is this just space or distance? Because once she's emotionally attached, your peace becomes part of hers. And when that peace goes quiet, it can feel like the room got just a little colder. This isn't neediness. This isn't overthinking. This is what happens when someone lets you in deeply enough that your presence calms them, that your voice centers them, that your energy becomes a safe place they didn't know they were looking for. So when you go quiet, even unintentionally, what she feels is more than silence. She feels the shift, the absence, the echo of something she now holds close. And maybe you didn't mean for her to feel that way. Maybe you were just busy. Maybe you needed space. But the truth is, you matter now. And when someone matters, even their smallest silences carry meaning. That doesn't mean you owe constant conversation. That doesn't mean she expects you to always be on. What it means is she's emotionally invested. And emotional investment comes with sensitivity, not drama. So before you dismiss her restlessness as overreaction, understand what it really is. It's her way of saying, you've become part of my world. And when you go quiet, my world feels a little less steady. And that's not just love, that's connection, that's depth. That's what happens when two souls move in sync, and suddenly one of them pauses. 6. She shows up, even when it's inconvenient. She doesn't always say, I care about you. She doesn't need to. Because the way she shows up, especially when it's inconvenient, unplanned, or messy, says everything. You didn't ask her to check in. You didn't hint that you were struggling. You didn't send a message asking for her time. But she noticed anyway. She felt the shift in your tone, the delay in your reply, the heaviness in your silence. And without hesitation, she responded, not with pressure, but with presence. Maybe it's the way she shows up late at night with something small but thoughtful. Maybe it's the way she offers to sit with you in silence when you don't have the words. Maybe it's her quietly handling things to take the load off your shoulders, never asking for credit. She doesn't do it to impress. She does it because deep down you've become part of her internal world. When you're not okay, she feels it, not like a responsibility, but like a natural instinct. She could have made an excuse. She could have said she was tired, busy, overwhelmed. But she didn't. She made space for you. Because when a woman is emotionally attached, She doesn't just show up when it's easy, she shows up especially when it's not. When your energy is low, when your walls are up, when you're withdrawn, distant, or dealing with things you don't even know how to explain. She doesn't walk away from that version of you. She moves closer, and that's rare, because most people are there for the highlight reel. They're there when you're funny, productive, smiling, available. But when the light dims, when the laughter quiets down, when life stops being convenient, that's when you see who's really connected to you. That's when you see who's invested not just in the best version of you, but in the real one. She remembers the little things, not because she has to, but because she wants to. She does the unexpected, not for attention, but because your comfort now lives somewhere inside her own peace. She chooses you when no one is watching. She chooses you when it disrupts her schedule. She chooses you when there's nothing in it for her except the quiet fulfillment of knowing, I was there when he needed me most. She doesn't need to say it every day. Her actions speak louder. The 2 a.m. texts. The way she checks if you ate, even on the days she's skipping meals herself. The gentle, I'll wait until you're ready to talk. The way she supports you even when you push her away, just a little without realizing it. And that kind of presence, that kind of consistency, it doesn't come from convenience. It comes from commitment, not the kind you sign on paper, the kind that lives in someone's heart when they've quietly decided, you matter now, not just when you're strong, not just when you're smiling, but when you're silent, when you're unsure, when you're stuck. That's not her trying to win you over. That's her soul making room for you, even when yours is too tired to ask for anything. And when a woman does that, when she stays through the discomfort, the distance, the confusion, it's not just love beginning, it's emotional attachment in motion. It's her heart moving before her words can catch up, because love doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up quietly at your door with your favorite snack. Sometimes it asks, did you sleep last night? Sometimes it simply sits beside you in your worst moment and stays. And when she stays like that, not because it's easy, but because it's you, you'll feel it. That's not just someone who likes you. That's someone who's with you, even when everything else tells her it would be easier to walk away. Stoic reflection. A woman's emotional attachment isn't always loud. It doesn't come wrapped in drama or perfectly timed confessions. It doesn't walk in with a label or demand your attention. It lives in the quiet, in the stillness between conversations, in the soft moments when no one's watching, and yet she still chooses to care. If you're too busy chasing noise, you'll miss it. Because her kind of love doesn't try to be noticed. It just is. It shows up in the background, slowly becoming the foundation under your feet. You'll feel it in the way she looks at you when you're not speaking, in the way she listens, not just with her ears, but with her presence, in the way she makes space for your silence without making you feel guilty for needing it. You'll notice how she learns your moods like a language, how she adjusts her energy just to meet you where you are, how she holds your fears with gentleness, not to solve them, but to remind you that you're not alone inside them. She won't always say, I'm attached, but it'll be in the way she asks if you got home safe, in the way she remembers the story you told her 3 weeks ago that even you forgot, in the way she touches your arm in passing like she's grounding herself in your presence. She doesn't wait for the perfect moment to prove she cares. She lives it in small ways every day. But the truth is, most men overlook this. They're so used to attention being loud, dramatic, performative, that when something real arrives, it feels too quiet to be exciting. So they chase the thrill, they chase the mystery, they chase what plays hard to get and miss what was always there. They don't recognize the woman who gives without needing, who stays without pushing, who offers love not as a tool for control, but as a quiet extension of who she is. That's the one they usually regret losing, not because she was perfect, but but because her kind of connection doesn't come around twice. Her kind of presence becomes part of you, so gently, so slowly, that you don't realize how much it meant until you're sitting in the silence she used to fill. So before you look for something new, before you scroll past her heart looking for the next high, ask yourself honestly, have I been paying attention? Not to what she says, but to what she shows. Because emotional attachment doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't ask for applause. It just shows up in ways that feel like peace and stays, even when the room is empty, even when you're quiet, even when you don't feel worthy of being loved. That's the kind of woman whose love changes you, not because she tries to, but because you finally feel seen without performing. So if any part of this made you pause, if even one sign reminded you of someone, if you caught yourself saying, "That's her," even silently, comment "She sees me" below. Let it be a moment of clarity, not for her, but for you. Because real connection doesn't chase, it doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers become a home if you're wise enough to stop running and listen. Subscribe to the Stoic Journals, not for tricks or shallow advice, but for truth, for depth, for the kind of inner clarity that helps you stop searching outside and start recognizing what's already chosen you. Until next time, stay grounded, stay observant, and remember, the loudest kind of love is often the one that doesn't raise its voice. It just stays.